My mama gave me all she had. I made it to town, and I literally ran out of gas as I pulled in, and luckily I was moving in with a friend of mine, and he let me stay with him and fed me and put gas in my truck for about a month, and took really good care of me. And but yeah, it was that first month was pretty bad.
The intersection of good drinks, good music, and good times. This is Hops and Spirits Bar Conversations.
We got a fun episode for you this week. Our conversation is with country artist, entrepreneur, and even city council member, Craig Campbell. It's a fun one. You won't want to miss it. But you know what? We're not going to waste a whole lot of time. We're going to get right into the show, because up next is Tasting Notes with Chad Watson, a.k.a. My Daily Bourbon, as we talk about the bourbon culture. And has it gone crazy yet? Enjoy.
Did you know Hops and Spirits is more than just this podcast? Check out hopspirits.com for our latest episode release, past episodes, interviews with interesting folks in the alcohol industry, and so much more. Just go to hopspirits.com. Feel free to wait until this podcast is done.
Joining us again here on Tasting Notes, it's Chad Watson, a.k.a. My Daily Bourbon. He's part of the Bourbon Life crew. Chad, welcome back.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, you know, last time we were... Ooh, that was a good pop.
I know.
That was well-timed, too. Last time we talked about, is there a daily drinker anymore? And I don't think we laid it on if that really does exist anymore. At least for most of us, it might not, or at least it's few and far between. And I think this maybe is a good follow-up to that, because my question for you that you kind of posed to me was, is the current bourbon culture just getting too much for some? You know, because there's a lot of bottles, there's a lot of different things happening. Is it too much?
So this is one of those topics where, like, I feel like I could talk out of both sides of my mouth, but for but at the same time, I'm not making
it's
a
Chad
point.
versus Chad.
So
maybe that should be a new series for you on My Daily Bourbon.
that's a good idea. Yeah, I mean we'll come back to that. I think there's a lot of confliction in the bourbon market right now, because if you look at a lot of products, there's a lot of buzzwords, and like right now, I'm drinking Barrel Vantage, and a blend of straight bourbon, whiskeys finished in Mizunara, French, and toasted American oak. So toasted's hot. I toasted. I love toasted. I love double barrel, re-aged, whatever. So there's a lot of products out there, and I think that customers feel something has to be done, and it's just a small subset. Something has to be done to a product to make it awesome, to make it hot, to make it social media worthy, influencer worthy, or whatever. And that's not always true. But there's also the side of people who only want one brand, or they're only looking for like Sazerac or Buffalo Trace products. And then you got the people who they want all their wax store picks. So there's all these little different subsets of people who they like what they like, they want what they want, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging you at all, unless you're putting stormtroopers and wax on top of a New Riff bottle. Then I might judge you a little bit, but still, you like what you like. But there's not I feel like there's no happy medium here. So it's almost an obsession for most of these people, and I feel like I myself am just kind of, and you too, we're just kind of like lax into this. We test the waters, we see what's out there, but we don't really belong to any one portion of that. Mm-hmm. And working in the retail side of the industry, it's crazy to see people who are doing Zoom calls and meetings in my store, or they're in my store every 30 minutes because they are hunting for stuff and they're looking for things. Do you have this? Or I've seen this on Facebook. And a part of me thinks social media, and I'm not saying we're a direct part of it, but we are kind of a part of it, mm-hmm. because we are on social media. But people are wanting, it's FOMO, it's 100% FOMO. They have to have everything but once again, it's those little pods. Like, so what I'm seeing is like literally only one small subset of people. And I don't have Facebook, but I mean, you get on Facebook and there's vast, like, I mean, you got groups who are dedicated to everything. But is that taking the fun out of it? Like, is it becoming too serious of a hobby for some people, and they're really trying to turn it into like a personality trait? Like, and that's fine, but it's. I don't know. I don't know how to.
Is it healthy?
Yeah, I mean, like yeah. That basically, I was trying to find like a smarter way to say that, but yeah, it is it becoming a social norm, or like is that healthy for people to do that? Because I myself, like, I talk to friends, we talk whiskey all the time, we talk liquor, whatever. But I truly believe there are some people out there who are turning it into a lifestyle unintentionally, and it's it's an obsession, it's almost a sickness. It's kind of a compulsionary thing where people feel like they have to, and it's kind of taking the fun out of it. Like when you see that so many times a day, you're kind of wondering, like, man, was I like this? Am I like this? Because I'm seeing it, third hand. And I've talked to other friends about this too, and we've kind of said you should have more conversations than about whiskey. It's one thing if like you have a social media account or a podcast, like that's it. But if you have a group chat with people, or you're in a Facebook group and that's all you talk about, I mean, you might need to seek other hobbies or other alternatives, because it's just, I don't think it is a healthy state of mind, so to speak.
Well, and to your point too about how like there are those little subgroups. I'm on a couple of Facebook groups as I promote some of the stuff that I do, and it is wild to see how some people are anti this, or when I say anti this, like, oh, you went down the BTAC route, how dare you? Or you didn't go down the BTAC route, how dare you? You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, but I thought bourbon was supposed to be whatever you want. But then they turn around and chastise someone for what they picked, because that's what they like.
Yeah, and I was like, last year I did my 28 days of Blanton's. We all had fun on that. I had a lot of fun on that. But I got to see both sides of the people who were like, one, you like Blanton's or you own Blanton's, you're stupid, you're an idiot, you're a tater. And it's like, the hell. And then I got to see the other side of that, which was like, why would you desecrate such a holy thing? And I was there to do that. I wanted to upset both of those sides to show, like, it's at the end of the day, I always tell people it's just brown water. Like, this is brown water. Like, I don't care what happens, life or death, nothing changes. I've had people run into my store. We put an allocation out. They come running in like 30 minutes after it's gone. I hit a kid on my way here. I broke 20 traffic laws. And it's like, it's a freaking bottle of brown water. Who cares? Like, if you had to do all that to get here, something is wrong. Like, mental. Like, you need to, like, not think in that way. But and I'll say, like, we do shun people. Like, I'm speaking as us as a whole, not just you and I, but as a community, we do shun people, and may not agree with it. And I do like to have fun trolling people sometimes. That's fun. Or, I like to pick fun and make jokes. Who doesn't? I mean, that's just the nature of humans. But and you're right, there's a group that I'm in where someone posted that they did not like a bottle from a certain person. And people chastise them because that, like, do you know who that is? Do you know who blended that? Who did that? If you knew, if you understood, you wouldn't be saying that. And that person came back and was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It actually is pretty good." Like, no. Who cares who does what? If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you do like it, you do like it. I mean, drink it how you want to drink it. Enjoy it how you want to have it. If you want to have 90% Coke, like I did that reel, and that got so much attention, and I don't understand why. But where I poured mostly the Coke Zero and then a little bit of Buffalo Trace.
I love that, by the way. That was a great one.
I mean, that was me at one point. I mean, that's where I started at. I started drinking Coke and Buffalo Trace, and then I moved into Buffalo Trace on the rocks, and then I moved into, neat with some water, and by some water I mean like stick it on the faucet. That way it could still thin it out without being cold. I was like, I don't like cold whiskey anymore. I'm a man. And then I just started, drinking it neat, which who cares? But I got some hate on that where people were like, I drink it this way. I'm like, and that's fine. I'm making fun of the people who don't want to admit they drink it this way because they think it's not manly.
I mix it. Doesn't matter. Could be $500. I'll mix it.
I don't. My dad mixes everything with Diet Coke. I don't know that I've ever seen, besides when he and I went to Woodford Reserve in like 2017 or 2018, did a tour. I don't know that I've ever seen that man drink whiskey that did not have Diet Coke in it. But who cares? I mean, like, there's plenty of days where I'll come home. I pre-make my old fashions now. Like I used to have fun shooting. Yeah, well, listen. Every time I do, it's like the world needs to know that I'm making an old fashioned. It needs to be like today, Chad Watson. And no, like who cares? So now I pre-make it all. I put it in the bottom of my fridge, and I'll come home. It's like, damn, you know what I really want? It's just an old fashioned, and I use my own brown sugar maple syrup in it. I use cherry bitters, and I like a sweet old fashioned. There's nothing wrong with that. And I was on Reddit once, and it was like, "What's your favorite old fashioned recipe?" And I put mine. I gave it, and people were like, "That's too sweet. You need more bittering agents, or you need to do this." I'm like, "No, I like it sweet. I want a sweet old fashioned. It's going to be a boozy old fashioned, but I still want it to be sweet. If I wanted bitter and strong and peppery, I would just drink the damn whiskey on its own. Like that's why I'm having it in cocktails, because that's what I don't want. But it's like and I mean that was a few years ago, but it's always weird how, like, going back full circle, how I don't know if that's my dog or your dog was squeaking on something.
That might have been my ear.
Oh,
my earbud decided to fall out.
I was like, what was that? But it's weird how you get into those little pods of people. I mean, it's like cliques in high school. It just, I don't know. It still shocks me, and it shouldn't. But it's always a surprise to me to see how offended people get over something that should be fun. I mean, we're not raking in billions of dollars like Sazerac and Heaven Hill and all these companies are. We're supplying them with that money. We're the consumer in this. So if you can't consume this and enjoy it, then what the hell's the point?
I think that's probably the best way to phrase it, is have fun, drink it how you like it, and if someone doesn't like it that way,
who cares?
Who cares? And see, this is why I always enjoy having you on Tasting Notes. Let you go off on a little rant, get some good things, and I also might have to post a quick clip of "I'm a Man." It might be like Gundy out of Oklahoma State. so Chad, I appreciate you as always.
Hey man, thanks for having me.
Check out Hops and Spirits on social media at Hops Spirits, all one word, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also find Hops and Spirits on YouTube and at hopspirits.com.
Joining us here for our conversation, he's a country artist, entrepreneur, and he's even a city council member. Plus, he just released the Lost Files Exhibit A back in February. Welcome in, Craig Campbell.
Hey, man.
Well, that's a long list of things you got going. Do you stay busy these days?
Yeah, I'm always looking for something to put on my plate, as if I don't have enough already. But I'm just, I'm having fun. I finally got to a space in my life where my priorities are in line, and things are just happening, man. Dreams are constantly coming true, and my family's healthy, and everything's good. Can't complain.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Now, this show is called Bar Conversations. I got a little bourbon, a little 1792 foolproof tonight. You got, if you're not drinking, what's your go-to drink, or you got something good tonight?
Oh man, I love a good glass of Cabernet. It's probably my most common, or most, if you see me with something in my hand, it's usually going to be that. But if I'm out and about, I love a good old fashioned. And so, yeah, that's about it. Those are my two go-tos.
I was going to say, I've dabbled in wine recently. My wife and I went to Patagonia about a month or so ago, and we've been blown into the world of Malbecs, and,
okay.
and those have been really delicious.
Yeah, Malbec, some of my been to Australia a few times, and they got a really good Malbec over there, and obviously Argentina, they have some good Malbecs, but I stick to the Cabernet though. But if they don't have Cabernet and they have a Malbec, I'll have some of that.
Now, I also have to ask this question because I saw the video that you did for Hurting on It, kind of for the streaming services and so forth. What was it like to smash those beer cans all over yourself?
Well, it was one of those things. I told the guys filming, I said, "Hey, we got to get this in one shot because I don't want to have to go. I don't want to have to go dry off and then start over and do this thing again." So that was one take, and yeah, it was fun. Stone Cold Steve Austin just cracked them, smashed them, shook them, and it was fun. It was cold. It was cold that day. I do remember that, and I remember as soon as we got done, I rushed in here and dried off and put on some dry clothes.
Now, was that? Now, did you get the Busch Light Super Bowl pack after that? Before that, how did that work?
I got the Busch Light before that video. They sent me, that stuff in preparation for the Super Bowl, and I had a couple of left over, so it was some good props.
There you go. Now, looking at your social media, it looks like you enjoy having a good time on there, whether it's getting called out by Walker Hayes and having your family do some dances, or just sharing things. What's it like to have some fun on social media?
I love it, and I'm just going to be honest with you, man. I love doing it. I love the reactions we get. I love the interaction, I guess you would say, with the fans and stuff like that. But I will say that, like, the day of when I have my guys come over and we start filming, I don't look forward to it. But once we get started and we get rolling, I mean, I have fun with it. But it's like that whole, when I wake up, I'm like, oh my God, we got to shoot content today. It's in it, but there's that little part of the day where I'm like, I don't want to do this, but then we get into it, and it usually ends up being a lot of fun.
Well, and you have your family involved sometimes, and you showing them as well. What's it like to kind of share your life, on social media too, in addition to those fun things?
Oh man, I think it's cool. It's cool. I try to. I think media has been spun in a negative way for a lot of people. I think social media is more of a highlight reel than anything. But I try to make sure that what you see is the real thing. I'm not trying to make something sound better than it really is. It's just I'm just having fun. Me and my girls. It's not fake. It's real. And so it's good to be able to share that with my family.
Now, mentioning you got two daughters, it was kind of funny. You're running a little behind from volleyball. I got here just from dance practice, but I got a 4-year-old daughter. So, what am I in store for coming up here?
Man, look, from about 4. That's what I tell guys all the time that have daughters. From around 4 years old till about 10, it's the best it'll ever be. It's They still think you are Superman. You can do anything. They love you. They hold your hand in public. They, they snuggle with you on the couch. So enjoy from now till about 10, 11 years old. And when they become a woman, that then they transition into being more of a mama's girl then.
All right, so I got a few more years. That's good.
Soak it up, brother. Yeah, soak it up. Enjoy it.
It has been flying by, and I just enjoy what sometimes they come up with. My daughter the other night came downstairs after we put her to bed, and she goes, "Mommy, Daddy, I'm hot. I'm hotter than the sun."
Out of the mouths of babes.
They're something else, and I will do my best to make sure time slows down. Now, in addition to your daughters, your wife is pretty talented. She's you were in her band at one point, is that right?
Yeah, that's how we met. I say that's how we met. We knew each other before that, but she always had a boyfriend, and then there was a window of her not having a boyfriend, and it just so happened she needed a piano player for a gig, and so she called me, And we got together for rehearsal, and I never left. I never left her house, so it just worked out.
I was gonna say, have you pitched this story to like Hallmark or GAC or one of them?
Well, there's not enough drama in it. We've had a pretty uneventful life outside of just some of our entrepreneurial experiences and record deals and stuff like that. But I don't think my story is twisty enough for Hallmark.
Well, but there was a window of opportunity, and you found that. That is kind of how some of them
I
work.
tried. She always had a boyfriend, and then finally, like I said, the opportunity presented itself. So I stepped through the door.
Now you met her in Nashville, correct?
Yeah. So yeah.
So
She
now,
she lived here before I did, and but my bass player dated her roommate, so that's how I knew her before I moved here.
because I was going to say, is the story true that you got to Nashville from Georgia with 2 rolls of quarters and a roll of dimes
Yeah,
and barely
it's
made
true.
it?
My mama gave me all she had. I made it to town, and I literally ran out of gas as I pulled in, and luckily I was moving in with a friend of mine, and he let me stay with him and fed me and put gas in my truck for about a month, uh, and took really good care of me. And but yeah, it was that first month was pretty bad.
Now, you moved up to Nashville to pursue music. When, have you always had a love of music, or when did that come on in life?
Yeah, I mean, I say the music was always there. It was always something I felt like I was good at, or or if there was anything in my life that I thought I was good at, that was the one thing that I felt like I was better at than anything. Um, and it's just I craved it. I craved being on stage. I craved just it was just part of me. It was inside. I tell people all the time that I didn't choose it; it chose me. And it's all I've ever known.
Now, obviously, there's a thing about having a love of music, wanting to play, maybe pick up a guitar, do things. When was that realization, though, that it could be something more and worth going after a career in it?
Well, honestly, there was no like all I ever wanted to do was play music and pay my bills, keep my lights turned on, and so I did that. I did that at a very early age. Before I ever moved to Nashville, I had a band, and we played all over the United States, and I I was paying my bills, and then I had the opportunity to move to Nashville, and even then I was like, I just want to get to Nashville, play music, pay my bills. It wasn't until probably 5 or so years after living in town that I had the desire to be on the radio. And so that it was a gradual process, but it started out just being able to survive, and now it's kind of went back to that with where I am in my career now. It's just like, hey, I'm just having fun with it now, and just and paying my bills. It's a great time.
Well, I was going to say, you kind of came up the old school way, in a sense. You paid your dues, worked through things, and that's how things have
Yeah, I
worked
mean,
out for you.
and everybody has a different path, but yeah, that was my path. I played in the bars and the honky tonks for several years before I ever moved to Nashville, and then even when I got here, I did that same thing here on Lower Broadway. Basically, like you said, cutting my teeth and sharpening my tools, uh, and it was it's not everybody takes that same path, but it was my path, and I had a great time with it.
Well, and one of the first gigs I think you landed in Nashville or on your way up there was with Luke Bryan
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
keyboard player.
I had a mutual friend that told me that Luke was looking for a piano player for a few shows, and they threw my name in the hat, and I went out and played with Luke for about a year, well, a little less than a year.
Now this was before he became
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
Luke
This is
Bryan
back
we
when
all know,
before he
right?
had his record deal.
And did he tell you to leave the band and you didn't need to be there anymore? Did he fire you?
Yeah,
In a sense,
with a smile on his face, he was like, "Man, you don't need to be anybody's side man. You need to be out front, and I'm gonna help you out with that." And so, yeah, he technically fired me, but then he pointed me in the right direction.
well, that's a good friend there. And now, granted, I'm sure at the time, I don't know if you
No,
thought that.
not at all.
Now, obviously, when you were finally able to get out there on your own and kind of land that first record deal, what was that journey like? Because I know you played with a couple different bands before that kind of came to fruition.
Oh yeah, I mean, playing with Luke was a great learning experience, and then I played piano for Tracy Bird. That was awesome. And then in the meantime, just writing songs and playing piano for other people on Lower Broadway, and then eventually transitioning into doing my own thing. Um, Getting that record deal was it was right on time. When I first got to town, I wasn't ready, or I would have told you I was, but looking back, I knew now I know I wasn't. But it's been a great journey. Having that first record deal was perfect timing, and Family Man being the first single was the perfect first song. It was, I could sit here and talk to you all night long about all the God things that have happened in my life, but it's all his plan.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, you kind of came out of the gate with some great songs, and you had Family Man, Keep Them Kisses Coming, Out of My Head, Outskirts of Heaven. What were those first few albums like when you were able to have that success?
It was great. It was again, I was able to take some of that success and just keep the lights on at the home. It always goes back to that. I was just instead of playing for just friends and family around the campfire, I was able to go out and play country music for thousands of country music fans. So it's just a different level, but same concept.
Now, when Keep the Kisses Coming was climbing the charts, your first record label folded. Obviously, that's not exactly what you want to have happen, but it was having some chart success. Did you call around to keep making sure that it would get airplay?
Yeah, because when the news broke that the record label was closing, a lot of the radio stations just automatically said, "Well, if the record label's closing, then we don't have to play this song anymore." So I started seeing it go down on the chart, and so I just picked up the phone, started calling the people that were dropping it, and I had my approach was two questions, and it was like, "Hey, I see that you're backing off the spins. My first question is why. Second question is how can I turn it around?" And I was able to do that for about 6 more weeks, and we went from 13 to 7 on the chart.
Where does that drive come from to just pick up the phone? Because other guys would be like, all right, whatever, but for you to pick up the phone, call around, because there's a lot of country radio stations across the country.
I was mad. I was like, they stopped playing the song just because of a record deal situation, and so that was my pitch. It was like, look, this song is still a hit song. Just because I don't have a big major record label backing me up anymore doesn't change anything. So that's where that all came from.
Now, does that go back to your roots in Georgia?
Well, I mean, work ethic is part of that, and then just people doing the right thing is the other part of it. It's like, just if you decide to stop spinning my record just because I don't have a record label anymore, that's just not the right thing to do.
Now, what was it like growing up in a small town in Georgia? What impact did that have on you musically and what you grew up listening to?
I mean, you can listen to my music and see how it impacted. There's things that I sing about on a consistent basis. A lot of my songs are have a religious flair to them. A lot of my songs talk about family a lot, Family Man and when she grows up and what a girl will make you do. And then there's also a bunch of songs just talk about how it was for me growing up. And so, and that's what I want my music to be. I want people to hear it and say, I've never met that guy, but I know who he is, and I would love to have a beer with that guy. And that's the goal.
Or maybe a glass of wine. Now, obviously, I don't like to ask this question per se in the sense of, can you tell me your sound, but clearly you've got a storytelling kind of background. Is that from that classic country early 90s time frame? Is that kind of where that comes from?
I mean, I feel like I was influenced by that whole class from 1987 to 1994, 95, when I feel like some of the best country music that's ever happened. That's when I was being influenced the most. And they say you emulate your heroes, and so that's just, it just happened. And I was taught by some of the best, so I'm not ashamed of that at all.
Well, it was a great era in country music, and it comes through when you can tell a story through a song, I think, and when you can really visualize being there, being alongside someone.
No doubt.
Now, you talk about influencing and emulating and so forth. People are doing that now with social media. I mean, even Outskirts of Heaven kind of got a renewed kind of hit with, people covering that song. Is it weird that people are now covering your songs on social media?
No, not really. It's just, that's been a thing from day one, but I say not so much social media back when Family Man was around, but like YouTube and stuff. You had a lot of people covering my earlier songs on those platforms. But yeah, here recently, when you see songs and they're just those 15-second or 30-second clips, it's interesting to see how people are reacting to those songs, and in the different contexts that they get uploaded. But it's like Warren Ziders when he did that thing with Outskirts, and he came to me about it. He's like, "Hey, do you mind if I record this song?" I was like, "Dude, I would love for you to record it," because my fan base and his fan base was two totally different things. And I said, "I don't care who sings it. This song needs to be heard. And if it's not me and it's you, I'm all about it."
Well, and to me, that goes back to those good songs can go across genres, across artists, because they're just good songs and they can connect with anyone.
For sure.
And with that, you've been working, you put out a new album, like I said at the top, the Lost Files in February, but you hadn't released an album though in a good while. What happened?
Well, I became independent. I've had these songs just sitting on hard drives, most of them, and I just felt like it was time that none of these songs deserved to just be spending the rest of their lives in the digital world. I felt like they needed to be released, given a chance to fly, and I've loved every song that I've ever recorded, and I just felt like it was time for that to happen. I mean, it took 10 years, but it was 10 years of finding the right songs and putting it together and making it happen.
Well, I'll be honest. I'm a late comer to the country scene. Although I got introduced in a good way. I worked at a classic country station and a pop station mix, and I was at the one. I was always on the side of the classic country and so forth. So I've gotten to learn a lot about artists and to hear these songs. It's amazing to see that you had all these just kind of stashed away.
Yeah, no, it's for whatever reason. I'm not going to point any blame at any one person or one whatever. But these songs never made it onto an album, and it was just they were mine. They were just kind of my kids, and I wanted people to meet them.
Well, and one of those that I enjoy a good bit is Tractor Songs, and Walker Hayes wrote that one, but he said he didn't want to record it. He said this was more you. What's it like when someone like him comes to you with a song and is like, "Hey, What do you think about this?
That's just a testament to Walker. I mean, he knew the song and he knew who I was, and he just knew that they were meant for each other. And he sent it to me, and I fell in love with it. It was perfect. It checked all the boxes for me and what I thought a Craig Campbell song is, and here we are. We went into the studio, recorded it, and put it out like record time. But yeah, it was one of those things that was just meant to be.
Well, and the album's got everything from, songs like Hurtin' on it and What You Do in a Truck to, like you said, those songs where you're talking about, the church clothes that you, with your wife, things like that. The album has a little bit of everything on it.
And that's what we try to do. We try to just spread it out a little bit. I'm trying to cover as many bases as I can. When it comes to recording songs, I try to say, okay, what can I say that I haven't said before? Or what can if I've said it already, how can I say it a little different? And that's the process I go through of recording songs.
And you mentioned, you're an independent guy now, but you've also started your own label. You also have a coffee shop and music venue with a little music space with your wife. So what's it like being an entrepreneur and going down that road?
It's great. Honestly, being a country singer is an entrepreneurial endeavor, if you will. In itself, I'm basically the CEO of the Craig Campbell business. But I had a dream of opening a coffee shop, a music venue for several years, and finally COVID kind of paved the way for that. There's a lot of terrible things happened during COVID, but at the same time, there was a silver lining for us. We bought this building in actually started negotiating in late 2020 and bought it in 2021, and took us about a year to get it up and running. And it's been a blast, and I love it. I love, like, when I'm not on the road, I'm usually at the coffee shop working. And if I'm not there, I'm with my girls on volleyball tournaments, and it's just life is good.
Well, and because of being a business owner and kind of wanting to see what's going on in your town, you decided to run for city council. What pushed you to that, and then you won?
Well, my main concern with city council was, I just having that business downtown, like right downtown. I wanted to be part of the decision making process because all those decisions directly affect Grindstone Cowboy, and I wanted to be part of that. And I love Eagleville, and I feel like I have some great ideas, and hopefully I can be a part of some cool things that Eagleville is going through right now.
Well, when you're downtown, like you said, a lot of things can be impacted by that, and you want to make sure there's shops on the corners and people are visiting. I must say, who came up with the name for the coffee shop?
That was me. Actually, the name came first, and I thought somebody said Grindstone Cowboy one day. I thought I heard it, and I just cataloged, stuck it in the back of my brain. I said, man, that'd be a great name for a coffee shop. And then, fast forward a couple of years, I had the idea of opening a coffee shop, and I already had the name. So
I was going to say that I love how that works. Is that how you go into when you're writing songs? Do you have the name already in mind and then you build off of it, or how does that work for you?
Me,
does that work everything for you
I would
that way?
Say most times for me writing songs, I have the title first, and then I go from there.
And then are you building off of ideas or bringing in past experiences, life experiences with you or folks you know? How's that go?
All that, songs come from all over the place. Feelings, experiences, people like Family Man was obviously wasn't a family man myself at the time, but that was the guy that I was talking about in that song. That's who I wanted to be. Outskirts of Heaven was just a prayer request, basically, of the place that I wanted to have when I got to heaven. So, I mean, there's different plans of attack when it comes to writing songs. Not one is the same, really. Or no two are the same.
And obviously,
no two are the same.
Now, I know for you, obviously, family is a big thing. I know you've been impacted by things along the way, like cancer affecting your family. So you've put a lot into that with fight colorectal cancer, and you've raised more than $350,000. You put on events and stuff. And why is that something that's important to you?
Yeah, I don't like to correct people, but I have raised over $1 million for colorectal cancer, and I'm very proud of that.
You're going to have to get on the other Craig on that one.
As soon as we hang up. No, I've been doing this cornhole tournament for almost 10 years now, and it's a lot of fun. But my desire to bring awareness to colorectal cancer began years ago when I was 11 years old, and my dad died with colon cancer. And the older I got, the more questions I had. Like, why did he die? Why did I grow up without a dad? Why was he taken away? And then the more I learned, the more I realized he could have done a lot of things to prevent it. Colorectal cancer is one of the most preventable cancers out there. So I just said, you know what? It's my job to help bring awareness to that, to get screened, to get your colonoscopy, and then also help to raise money for all of that. And so that's what we've been doing.
Well, and like you said, you've been very successful, and over $1 million. I stand corrected.
I mean, that's over the course of 10 years, but yeah.
Well, and it's a good thing, whether it's money or awareness. Those are much needed, and as we're a little ways into 2023 now. You've got the album out. You've got some songs that I think people are enjoying. I'm guessing when you title an album, Part A, is there going to be another version of this down the road?
Well, there's going to be 16
or Exhibit A.
Yeah, 16 more songs coming out in either June or July this year. And like I said, these are all songs that I've had, and they're ready to go. And I felt like doing the double album was the best way to do it, just because and the reason I had been sitting on them long enough. So
that's a fair thing. So I'm guessing folks the rest of the year can expect more music, and then obviously maybe seeing you out and about.
Yeah, for sure. I'm more music always. Then tour dates always coming in. More TikToks and more social media stuff. So yeah, I'm hammered down. Well,
Craig, I've enjoyed the music, the new music that you put out, the older music that folks may have known you for, and thanks for sharing your story with me and a drink.
Sounds good, brother.
Find more from Hops and Spirits at hopspirits.com.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.